back to Friday Reads, where we help you find your next read. I'm Jill.
And I'm Julie, and we're continuing our Read-Alike series. And this week we are doing Read-Alikes for The Frozen River by Ariel Lawhon. It's a gripping historical mystery inspired by the life and diary of Martha Ballard, a renowned 18th century midwife who defied the legal system and wrote herself into American history. It's a story about a remarkable woman who left an unparalleled legacy, yet remains nearly forgotten to this day. So several of us at the library have read this, myself included. I love this book. Jill's been listening to it, so.
I'm at the end. It's very good. I can't wait to finish it.
So Jill, your first read-alike.
This one was tough because,
there's a lot of things going on.
So my first choice is Shelterwood by Lisa Wingate. This is a sweeping novel inspired by the untold history of women pioneers who fought to protect children caught in a storm of land barons hungry for power and oil wealth. Oklahoma, 1909. 11-year-old Olive Augusta Radley knows that her stepfather doesn't have good intentions towards the two Choctaw girls boarded in their home as wards. When the older girl disappears, Ollie flees to the woods, taking 6-year-old Nessa with her. Together, they begin a perilous journey to the rugged, winding Stair Mountains, the notorious territory of outlaws, treasure hunters, and desperate men. Along the way, Ollie and Nessa form an unlikely band, with others like themselves struggling to stay one step ahead of those who seek to exploit them, or worse. Oklahoma, 1990. Law enforcement ranger Valerie Boren Odell arrives at Horse Thief Trail National Park seeking a quiet place to balance a career in single parenthood. But no sooner has Valerie reported for duty than she's faced with a local controversy over the park's opening, a teenage hiker gone missing from one of the trails, and the long-hidden burial site of 3 children deep in a cave. Val's quest to uncover the truth wins an ally among the neighboring Choctaw tribal police, but soon collides with old secrets in the tragic and deadly history of the land itself. In this novel, Lisa Wingate traces the story of children abandoned by the law and the battle to see justice done. Amid times of deep conflict over who owns the land and its riches, Ollie and Val traverse the wild and beautiful terrain, each leaving behind one life in search of another. So, Shelterwood, which you can't really see because there's a tag on that, but
She's a popular author here. My first pick is part of a series. It's the second book in the Waverly Place series, and it's Sarah Donati's Where the Light Enters. This was published back in 2019. Obstetrician, instead of a midwife, obstetrician Dr. Sophie Savard returns home to the achingly familiar rhythms of Manhattan in the early spring of 1884 to rebuild her life after the death of her husband. With the help of Dr. Anna Savard, her dearest friend, cousin, and fellow physician, she plans to continue her work, aiding the disadvantaged women society would rather forget. As Sophie sets out to construct a new life for herself, Anna's husband, Jack, who's a detective and sergeant, calls on them both to consult on 2 new cases. The wife of a prominent banker has disappeared into thin air, and the corpse of a young woman is found with baffling wounds that suggest a killer is on the loose. In New York, it seems that the advancement of women has brought out the worst in some men. Unable to ignore the plight of New York's less fortunate, these intrepid cousins draw on all their resources to protect their patients. So I thought this was a good read-alike for The Frozen River. It's got mystery, it's got an obstetrician, it's got something with the legal system. So Where the Light Enters by Sarah Donati, like I said, part of a series.
this one might be a little bit of a stretch. I went with the part where she knows medicine really well. A Female Apothecary, The Lost Apothecary by Sarah Penner. A female apothecary secretly dispenses poisons to liberate women from the men who have wronged them, setting 3 lives across centuries of dangerous collision course. Rule 1, the poison must never be used to harm another woman. Rule 2, the names of the murderer and her victim must be recorded in an apothecary's register. One cold February evening in 1791, at the back of the dark London alley in a hidden apothecary shop, Nella awaits her newest customer. Once a respected healer, Nella now uses her knowledge for darker purpose, selling well-disguised poisons to desperate women who will kill to free of the men in their lives. And when the new patron turns out to be the precocious 12-year-old named Eliza Fanning, an unexpected friendship sets in motion a string of events that jeopardizes Nella's world and threatens to expose the many women whose names are written in her register. In present-day London, aspiring historian Carolyn Parcival spends her 10th wedding anniversary alone, reeling from the discovery of her husband's infidelity. When she finds an old apothecary vial near the River Thames, she can't resist investigating, only to realize she's found a link to the unsolved apothecary murders that haunted London over 2 centuries ago. As she deepens her search, Caroline's life collides with Nella and Eliza's in a stunning twist of fate, and not everyone will survive. So, The Last Apothecary, published in 2021.
My second pick is a book I just listened to not too long ago, and this is Go as a River by Shelley Reed. This was published last year. It's a sweeping, heart-stopping epic of a young woman's journey set against the harsh beauty of mid-century Colorado. On a cool autumn day in 1948, Victoria Nash delivers late-season peaches from her family's farm, set amid the wild beauty of Colorado. As she heads into her village, a disheveled stranger stops to ask her the way. How she chooses to answer will unknowingly alter the course of both of their young lives. So begins the mesmerizing story of split-second choices and courageous acts that propel Victoria away from the only home she's ever known and towards a reckoning with loss, hope, and her untapped strength. Gathering all the pieces of her small and extraordinary existence, spinning through the eddies of desire, heartbreak, and betrayal, she will arrive at a single rocky decision that will change her life forever. I thought that was a gut-wrenching story. It was beautiful, this coming-of-age tale, and it's a drama of enthralling power, combining unforgettable characters and a breathtaking natural setting. It's a sweeping story of survival and becoming of the deepest mysteries of love, truth, and fate. So Go as a River. Love that book.
So this is one of my favorite authors who writes historical fiction and usually has some nature in it. The River We Remember by William Kent Krieger. This was published in 2023. In 1958, Minnesota town is rocked by the murder of its most powerful citizen, pouring fresh fuel on old grievances in this dazzling standalone novel. So this is not in a series. On Memorial Day, as the people of Jewell, Minnesota gather to remember and honor the sacrifice of so many sons in the wars of past, a half-clothed body of wealthy landowner Jimmy Quinn is found floating in the Alabaster River, dead from a shotgun blast. Investigation of the murder falls to Sheriff Brody Dern, a highly decorated war hero who still carries the physical and emotional scars from his military service. Even before Dern has the results of the autopsy, vicious rumors begin to circulate that the killer must be Noah Bluestone, a Native American World War II veteran who has recently returned to Jewell with a Japanese wife. As suspicions and accusations mount and the town teeters on the edge of more violence, Dern struggles not only to find the truth of Quinn's murder, but also put to rest the demons from his own past. Caught up in a torrent of anger that sweeps through Jewell are a war widow and her adolescent son, the intrepid publisher of the local newspaper, an aging deputy, and a crusading female lawyer, all of whom struggle with their own tragic histories and harbor secrets that Quinn's death threatens to expose. The River We Remember was published in 2023.
I've read some of his standalones. I've not read his series.
He's good.
My third pick is a book called Looking for Jane by Heather Marshall. This was published in 2022, and this was a debut. It's a debut about 3 women whose lives are bound together by a long-lost letter, a mother's love, and a secret network of women fighting for the right to choose, inspired by true stories. 1971. As a teenager, Dr. Evelyn Taylor was sent to a home for fallen women where she was forced to give up her baby for adoption, a trauma she has never recovered from. Despite harrowing police raids and the constant threat of arrest, she joins the Jane Network as an abortion provider, determined to give other women the choice she never had. 1980. After discovering a shocking secret about her family, 20-year-old Nancy Mitchell begins to question everything she has ever known. When she unexpectedly becomes pregnant, she feels like she has no one to turn to for help. Grappling with her decision, she locates Jane and finds a place of her own alongside Dr. Taylor within the network's ranks, but she can never escape the lies that haunt her. In 2017, when Angela Creighton discovers a mysterious letter containing a life-shattering confession, she's determined to find the intended recipient. Her search takes her back to the 1970s when a group of daring women operated an illegal underground abortion network in Toronto, known only by its whispered codename, Jane. Looking for Jane.
Cool. So this next one, Love and Fury by Samantha Silva. This was published in 2021. From Samantha Silva, the author of Mr. Dickens and His Carol, a beautiful, engrossing novel based on the life of proto-feminist icon Mary Wollstonecraft, narrated by her newborn daughter, Mary Shelley.
Oh my gosh.
Midwife Parthenia Blenkinsop has delivered countless babies, but nothing prepares her for the experience that unfolds when arrives Mary Wollstonecraft's door. Over the 11 harrowing days that follow, Miss Blenkinsop fights for the survival of both mother and newborn. Mary Wollstonecraft recounts the life as she dared to live amid the impossible constraints and prejudices of the late 18th century. Rejecting the tyranny of men in marriage, risking everything to demand equality for herself and all women, she weaves her riveting tale to give her fragile daughter reason to live. In radiant prose, Samantha Silva delivers an ode to the dazzling life of Mary Wollstonecraft, one of the world's most influential thinkers and mother of the famous novelist Mary Shelley. So
That's a fun pick.
Mary.
My next pick is Oprah's book club pick, actually, and this is Midwives by Chris Bojalian, published in 1997. The time is 1981, and Sybil Danforth has been a dedicated midwife in the rural community of Reddington, Vermont for 15 years. But one treacherous winter night in a house isolated by icy roads, kind of goes with the midwife in Frozen River, and failed telephone lines, Sybil takes desperate measures to save a baby's life. She performs an emergency cesarean section on its mother, who appears to have died in labor. But what if, as Sybil's assistant later charges, the patient wasn't already dead and it was Sybil who inadvertently killed her? As recounted by Sybil's precocious 14-year-old daughter Connie, the ensuing trial bears the earmarks of a witch hunt, except for the fact that all its participants are acting from the highest motives, and the defendant increasingly appears to be guilty. As Sybil faces the antagonism of the law, the hostility of traditional doctors, and the accusations of her own conscience, Midwives engages, moves, and transfixes us as only the very best books do. So check out Midwives. Like I said, Oprah Book Club pick from way
And
back.
snow and birds. It's exactly like the Frozen River. Sweet Sting of Salt by Rose Sutherland. This was published this year, 2024. Once a young woman uncovers a dark secret about her neighbor and his mysterious new wife, she'll have to fight to keep herself and the woman she loves safe in this stunning queer reimagining of the classic folktale of the Selkie wife, which I'm not familiar with the Selkie wife, but when a sharp cry wakes Jean in the middle of the night during a terrible tempest, she's convinced it must be a dream during a terrible tempest.
Oh, goodness.
But the cry comes again. Jean ventures outside and is shocked by what she discovers. A young woman in labor, already drenched to the bone in freezing cold, barely able to speak a word of English. Although Jean is the only midwife in the village for miles around, she's at a loss as to who this woman is or where she's from. Jean can only assume she must be the new wife of the neighbor up the road, Tobias. And when Tobias does indeed arrive at her cabin in search of his wife, Murin, Jean's questions continue to grow. Why has he kept his wife's pregnancy a secret? And why does Murin's open demeanor change completely the moment she's in his presence? Although Jean learned long ago that she should stay out of other people's business, her growing concern and growing feelings for Murin mean she simply can't set her worries aside. But when the answers she finds are more harrowing than she ever imagined, she fears she may have endangered herself, Murin, and the baby. Will she be able to put things right and save the woman she loves before it's too late? Or will someone have to pay for Jean's action with their life? The Sweet Sting of Salt.
Not familiar with that pick. My last pick is Take My Hand by Dolan Perkins Valdez. This was published in 2022. It's inspired by true events that rock the nation, a profoundly moving novel about a black nurse in post-segregation Alabama who blows the whistle on a terrible wrong done to her patients, and it's from the New York Times bestselling author of Wench. It's Montgomery, Alabama, 1973. Fresh out of nursing school, Sybil Townsend has big plans to make a difference, especially to her African-American community. At the Montgomery Family Planning Clinic, she intends to help women make their own choices for their lives and bodies. But when her first weeks on the job take her down a dusty country road to a worn-down one-room cabin, she's shocked to learn that her new patients are children, just 11 and 13 years old. Neither of the Williams sisters has even kissed a boy, but they are poor and black, and for those handling the family's welfare benefits, that's reason enough to have the girls on birth control. As Sybil grapples with her role, she takes India, Erica, and their family into her heart, until one day she arrives at the door to learn the unthinkable has happened, and nothing will ever be the same for any of them. Decades later, with her daughter grown and a long career in her wake, Dr. Sybil Townsend is ready to retire, find her peace, and leave the past behind. But there are people and stories that refuse to be forgotten. That must not be forgotten, because history repeats what we don't remember. So take my hand. I have to say, when I found read-alikes for The Frozen River, these are some of the highest rated Goodreads books
It's true.
in all of my picks that we've done for many, many weeks together. So I'm like, there's a lot of good selections out there for this.
It really is. You people who like The Frozen River like good books. And I hope if you're waiting for The Frozen River to come on hold, we give you some ideas of what you can read. That'll also be almost as good.
Thank you for watching our videos. Find us on the Kimberly Public Library website, the Facebook page, our YouTube channel, and we had a lot of viewers for the women, so we hope you're as interested in The Frozen River. And until next time, we thank you for watching. Bye.